Hey guys, I'm still grading your tests from Tuesday over the biomolecules and atoms and molecules. The ones I have graded, most of you are doing pretty well on that. I also pushed out an assignment introducing the heart of the biology class, starting with the cell theory. So we're going to be able to get into some stuff that is a little bit more hands-on and a little bit more tangible, where you can see some things. The cell theory is the pretty much the heart of the biology, because we're talking about living things when we discuss biology, and all living things must be made of at least one cell. And the cell theory kind of takes us through a little bit of the history of developing what we know about the cells, the scientists who are involved with giving names, discovering cells, and so forth. And then we'll talk a little bit about what our current cell theory contains. So I'm going to try to do a split screen here, maybe. Make this a little bit smaller for right now and move this stuff around so we can kind of see some of it a little bit better, maybe. Okay, that's not going to let me do that. Go back there, we'll pull this over, and then I'll pull this up. And this is the website that I recommended you go to get some of the answers for the handout. Discovery of the cells. Robert Hooke actually gave us the name cell. He was looking at some cork through a microscope, and he thought he was seeing living things, but actually he was seeing these cell walls of plant cells that were remaining. But back, this is I think like in the 1600s. So in that time period in Europe, there were a lot of monks and monasteries, and the small cubicles in the monasteries where the monks lived were called cells. And this honeycomb kind of reminded him of that. So there we go. That's why we have the name cell given to the smallest structure of life. Okay. And so that was Robert Hooke. And he is given credit for giving the name cell to the small compartments he saw in a piece of cork. However, the structures he viewed were not living cells. They were not living cells. Okay. They were not living cells. Another scientist that came along and was also interested in microscopy was Anthony van Leeuwenhoek. He used microscopes, and he really developed some microscopes. He was able to grind his own lenses for clarity, and he was actually the first person to see living organisms that were single cellular. So he's given credit for seeing the first living cell. Leeuwenhoek L saw the first living cell. All right. And so here are some pictures of some actual small microscopic type organisms. And that's pretty much on this one here. If you have time and you can click on some of these videos, I would recommend watching those. So now I'm going to go back to the original document. I'm going to click here on this link, which will pull up some more information about the cell theory. The cell theory is basically tells us that all living things are made of cells. The cells are the basic unit and structure of life, and that cells must come from other cells. So with that information, and with scientists as they progressively build on information, in 1839, Theodore Schwann and was a zoologist, and Matthias Schleiden was a botanist, and they came up with two more parts of the cell theory. Schwann said that all organisms are made up of one cell. So Theodore Schwann was given credit for determining that all animals are made of cells. And the way I remember that is Schwann kind of sounds like swan. So therefore, he said that all animals were made of cells. Schleiden has an L in it, and so does plants. I'm kind of stretching there, but that's how I kind of remember that. Schleiden L. He said that all plants were made of cells. And then there was another scientist named, I call him Virchow, and he basically figured out that cells divide to produce more cells. So his contribution to the cell theory was that cells come from other cells. Okay, so with the cell theory, here's a very basic cell theory, and that is my Shih Tzu snoring in the background. He's a happy camper. All right, so with the cell theory, all living things are made of one or more cells, and then cells are the basic unit of life, and cells come only from other cells. Okay, so that's the cell theory, and those are the people involved. And you'll be seeing this information on Wednesday. We may have a short quiz over this on Thursday. I know it seems like a lot, but remember that this is a 2-block class, so I kind of have to move through the material. So with what we're going to start talking about now, we could be having smaller quizzes like every other day over information. I know you all have some of you have other classes, and this is quite a bit. I hate to drag some of the stuff out over the weekends, so I may go ahead and release this one tonight, Tuesday night, for Wednesday, and we may have a quiz over this on Thursday, and it could possibly be our daily attendance assignment. Okay. All right. So at this point, I'm going to stop the video, and I'm going to have another worksheet that's going to talk about cells and cell structure, but that's going to be a separate assignment. All right.